This tutorial will show you how to quickly populate a spreadsheet with student names right from your gradebook. The first thing you need to do is go into your Google Drive and click on the New button and go down to Google Sheets, and it'll open up into a nice blank spreadsheet. The first thing I always like to do is title everything so that it doesn't get lost. To do that, you click on Untitled Spreadsheet in the upper left-hand corner. And you can rename this. I'm just going to call it Practice Sheet. At this point, you would open up your gradebook, and to preserve student names, I'm going to take you to just a generic list of names. And I have this over here on the right-hand side, and you would follow the exact same process in your gradebook. You simply start at the bottom. Starting at the bottom always seems to be a little easier. Highlight all the names and copy them. And I just use the shortcut keys Control-C. Going back to your spreadsheet, you're going to put your cursor in the very first cell, A1, and paste. If you notice, all the names pop up. At this point, it's a little messy because we have one column with both first and last names. What you can do now is use an add-on to split these into two columns with just a few clicks. An add-on is a very small program that runs sort of in the background of a spreadsheet. There are also add-ons for docs. So up here in the tabs, you're going to click on Add-ons and Get Add-ons. Now you'll only have to do this once. After this, every spreadsheet you create, this add-on will be available to you, and the add-on is called Split Name. So I'm going to type that in. Click Return, and here it is. It's free. Go ahead and click on it. You'll get a pop-up screen that asks you to give access to the Split Name program. You can accept. And at this point, if you go back to the tab, you'll notice that Split Name is in the menu. Something we need to make sure that we do is you want to make sure that your entire row of names is highlighted. To do that, you can just click on the letter at the top of the column. Go back to your Add-ons tab, hover over Split Names, and then click Start. You'll get a pop-up screen, and in that pop-up screen, there'll be some choices for you to make, like how many columns would you like, and what would you like in those columns. For this, we just want a column with first names and a column with last names. There are other choices like middle name, salutation or title, suffix. For using student names, very rarely will you ever have to use any of these, but they are available. The other thing you need to consider is, does your column already have a header? And in our case, it doesn't. The very first cell is a student name. You may have created a spreadsheet where you put in a header such as first name and last name. So you want to make sure that that's toggled based on what your spreadsheet already looks like. Once you have all the requirements of what you want, you can click Split. It'll start working, and now you notice we have three columns. We have the column with both names, a column with first names, like Isaiah and Jeannie, and a column with last names, like Darrow and Pons. Now, this first column is no longer necessary. So go back to the top at the A and double click. You'll get a pop-up screen, and delete column is one of the choices. You can go ahead and click that. It'll go away. Now you have two columns with first names and a column with last names. If you'd like these in reverse order, you can hover over the letter, and you'll get the hand. If you click and grab it and drag it, you can move it around. It takes a minute to pop up. So now you have a column A is last names and column B is first names. This tutorial showed you how to use the add-on Split Names to populate a Google spreadsheet. Now that you have your spreadsheet populated with names, we're going to look at some basic things that you can do to keep data or information. The very first thing we're going to look at is how to add headers. Those are names that will tell you what's in each row instead of just these letters here. And first thing you need to do is add a row above this first name. And that's very simple. You click on the number where you'd like to add your row, either above and below, and it will highlight the whole row. Remember, rows go right to left and columns go up and down. Once you've highlighted that row, you can either right-click or go to Insert, and it'll ask you if you want to add a row above or add a row below. We'd like this row to be right at the very top, so we're going to click Row Above. And as you can see now, that first name is now in row 2, and we have a blank row here above it. I'm going to go ahead and name a few rows. The first one, of course, is first name. Actually, the first one is last name. And if you hit the tab key, it'll just take you over to the next cell. And this is first name. I'm also going to add in which class this student is in and some assignments. This is really great if you are going to be grading with a rubric, maybe presentations. Instead of printing out all of those rubric sheets, you can print out one, have that in front of you, and then actually fill in each of the areas of the rubric right here by putting the numbers next to the students' names that they earned. Let's do 3 assignments here. Okay, once you have your assignment rows in, the last thing I'm going to add is a total row that will give us, once we put a formula in, a final grade for these 3 assignments. Now you can, of course, add in as many assignments as you need to, or as many rubric rows as you need to. I'd like to delineate and show that this top row is important, so I'm going to make it bold. I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to click on the number of the row, and then up here in the toolbar, I'm going to click bold. It'll make everything in that row bold. Something else I'd like to do is make it so if I need to rearrange anything here, these rows don't change, that this row never moves. And to do that, you're going to lock this row into place. And you can lock any column or any row into place by highlighting it like we've done here and going up to the View tab and clicking Freeze Row. And it'll actually ask which row you'd like frozen. Your choices are no, or all the way down to the number of rows that you'd like frozen. And right now we have 10 rows. I just want 1 row frozen. And at this point, this row won't move no matter what we do unless we unlock it. To unfreeze it, you do follow the same process in reverse. Click on the number of the row you'd like to unfreeze. Go to View, Freeze Rows, and click No Frozen Rows. That will unfreeze everything. But we're going to leave that one frozen for the sake of our demonstration here. I'm going to put some information in. I want to put the class period that these students are in, and I have 2 classes, class period 1 and class period 2. And then I'm going to give some assignment grades. That's for the sake of our demonstration. And go on to assignment 2 here. And if you're entering grades, you simply click in the cell that you'd like and put the grade number in. Over here in assignment 3, this is an assignment where students just had to complete it, and I'd like to give them points for completion. So everyone received 100 points. So I can fill all of these rows by only typing it once. I put 100 points here, and then once I click into this row, once I hit return, this cell will pop up in blue, this little tiny box next to it. And you can do this with any kind of information. If I grab that box, my cursor, and drag it down, I am able to autofill all of those rows. All you have to do is make sure you have those crosshairs. You're going to want to sort this information so that you can take a look at groups of students or groups of grades. The easiest way to do this is to sort your rows either alphabetically or numerically. I'm going to sort first by last name alphabetically. You always want to sort in the order that you'd like them to appear. So you'll do this by highlighting the column that you'd like to sort. Just click on the letter at the top of the column you'd like to sort and going to the arrow and clicking sort A to Z. You can also sort from Z to A. A will give it descending order and Z to A will give it descending order. And here you can see the names, the last names have now put themselves into numerical order from A to Z. And also all of the information in the subsequent columns have gone with it. The other thing I'd like to do is I want to sort them by class. So all my first period students are at the top and all my second period students are at the bottom. The nice thing about this is since we did the sorting by last name first, this will stay intact with the class sort. So you're going to do the same thing, highlight column C, click the down arrow, sort sheet A to Z. And as you can see, all my first period students are together, all my second period students are together, and they are still in alphabetical order by last name. You can do this with any number of rows that you'd like. At this point, I'd like to take these grades and average them. So I have a final grade for either this rubric or this grading period. So under the total column, and I've created a column here called total, I'm going to add in a formula. And Google provides a number of basic formulas that you can add into this spreadsheet that will do basic and even some more complicated calculations for you. To do this, we're going to need an average. So I'm going to click in the first cell and then come up here to this in the tabs row in the tools. This very last one, this is, I believe, a sigma, and it's called functions. And I'm going to click on it, and these are the basic ones: sum, average, count, maximum, and minimum. Right now, we just want an average. So this will give you some interesting symbols, and all you need to do is tell the spreadsheet which columns you would like to have the numbers averaged together. The easiest way to do that, you can actually type in their position like D1 or D2, E2, F2. The easiest way to do it is to use the Shift key and click on the very first one. It'll take you all the way to the last one. And it actually gave us G2, which is this one, which we don't want. So let's try this again. Go ahead and get rid of that function. We're going to back up here to the functions, choose average, and I'm going to click in the first cell, the second cell, and the third cell, or however many grades you have here. And once I click off, it should give us the average of these three. And if you notice here, our three scores are 100, 100, 100, and of course the average is 100. Now, you don't have to put that formula in each time. You can use, once again, this little blue box, and if we'll just drag it down. And the averages for each of these will come up. And these are averages for these three totals, these three numbers, and these three numbers. The formula adjusts itself for each row of the spreadsheet.